Hello everybody, Patrick McNally here. Welcome to another show here at the Retirement Lifestyles Podcast. I want to thank you for listening. This is the show where it's all about having the health, wealth, and freedom to live your dream retirement. So today, going to be kicking it off with a headline that caught my eye this week about inflation. Inflation's kind of been that big buzzword for the past it's been like a year almost. Inflation's been the word. Well, this article talked about how inflation has potentially peaked. And there's 10 common consumer items where prices are actually falling currently. So we want to walk through that. In our health segment today, I've got a follow-up from my last show, if you listened to that, where I introduced you to the Whoop, that is. So it's the Whoop device, the Whoop strap or, Whoop watch, however you want to call it. It's the monitoring device that, like I said, I talked about in the last show. It monitors your fitness, your health performance, monitors all kinds of stuff, including sleep. So I've got some cool stuff to talk about after wearing this thing for a week, and I want to share it with you. In the wealth segment, I'm going to discuss if it makes sense for you to consider converting part of your IRAs, 401ks to a Roth IRA. Some of the pros and cons. If you've heard of the Roth IRA, you know it's tax-free. I'll be explaining some of that when we get to that segment, but want to have you consider right now, at the time of this recording, that the market's down. It may be a time to look at doing some Roth conversions, so we'll get into that. And then finally, in our freedom segment, I'm going to talk about the 12 best dating websites for retirees. Ooh la la, dating on the web. So I've got some thoughts on that. So we got a loaded show for you guys. I'm super excited. So right after this intro, we'll get right into it. You've saved, sacrificed, and invested for years. Now you're no longer getting a paycheck from a job. So the big questions for retirement is this: how do you retire with enough income to live the lifestyle you always wanted without the fear of running out of money, going back to work, or becoming a burden on the people you love? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Patrick McNally, and welcome to Retirement Lifestyles. Okay, everybody, welcome to the show. I'm going to kick it off talking about inflation. Obviously, as you know, everything in the markets right now being a little bit crazy, especially, year to date. I'd say for really the last year. Inflation's kind of been that buzzword for a while. And I did a whole show on, my thoughts on inflation with the pandemic and why we're seeing some of those costs. But that's, I could go down a rabbit hole real quick with that. So I'm going to try to stick on task. What happened was this past week I found an article that I thought was pretty cool talking about actually some good news about inflation. And it's called Inflation Peaking, 10 Common Consumer Items Where Prices Are Falling. And this is from CNBC and written by Carmen Reinecke over there. And so Carmen says that, July's Consumer Price Index report finally showed a sign of potential relief. So that's good news. Inflation ticked up less than expected from a year ago and was flat on the month, meaning that a basket of items and services generally stayed the same price. So, okay, staying the same price, but what about other stuff? Well, she says some stuff has fallen on a monthly and weekly basis, potentially signaling that inflation has passed its peak and might be cooling off. Well, that's pretty good news. What are some of these 10 things that are cheaper now than they were a month ago? Well, first and foremost, boneless, skinless chicken breast. It's down 23.6% from a month ago. Butter, down 13%. A dozen eggs, down 9.3%. A gallon of milk, down 2.5%. Hot dogs, down 6.1%. Tomatoes, down 2.5%. Car rentals, I think that's kind of interesting to put car rentals in here, down 9.5%. A gallon of gas is down 8%. Airfare, down 7.8%. And I thought this one was kind of funny as well. A night in a hotel, down 3.2%. It'd be kind of interesting to track a night in a hotel. But kind of cool that some of our normal food items that we all, I'm sure, buy, like on a weekly basis, we're starting to see some of the price trends go down. So I think that's really good. Now, of course, I would say that 1 month of price falling in some categories doesn't necessarily mark a trend. In fact, one economist named John Lear says that the slowdown in price increases and dips of costs of some items and services may mark the beginning of declines, but more months of data are obviously going to be needed to know for sure. He also says, I think it's way too early to start taking a victory lap, and adding that consumers should expect to be living in a world with elevated inflation for the next year and a half to 2 years. So I thought like the first half of this article was really, really cool, talking about, hey, we got prices going down, and then it kind of ended like, oh man, a year and a half? 2 years of higher inflation? So let's talk about that. What can you be doing if, you can expect the next year and a half, 2 years of higher inflation? Well, there's a number of things you can be doing. First and foremost, here's a few action steps. You can create a budget if you don't already have one, and start really tracking your expenses, seeing where each and every dollar goes, because you can control where each and every one of your dollars goes. You have that power to monitor and track your expenses. So if you've never created a budget sheet, I want to give you one. In fact, I'm just going to do it right now. You can go to my website, rlaplan.com, and actually type in the full website, rlaplan.com/budget. rlaplan.com/budget, and you can download a budget sheet that I've already created. You literally just fill in the blanks. It's an Excel spreadsheet. You can save it to your computer, and and revisit it. So you can save. Say you want to revisit it every 3 months. Well, do your budget, review it, save that, then come back in, redo it again. You can save and look at it on a quarterly basis or once a year, however you do it. The important thing is that you're tracking those expenses. And literally, I've taken 95% of the work out of it. You just got to fill in the blanks. So go grab yourself an expense sheet. If you've already created a budget before, you're used to doing this, now's a good time to review it and go into some of these areas and see where you can either cut back or maybe do without for a little bit and kind of go from there. I would say as well, reconsider looking at, tying this back to how you invest in retirement for sure. Or if you're a few years from retiring, I'm going to have you really think about how you're going to pull money from your accounts. If you need money from your retirement accounts, let's say you got a 401k at a job, you're looking at retiring in a few years, you're going to roll that 401k over into an IRA, and then you need to decide, am I going to be needing to pull income from this account? If you don't, then, that's great. Keep those things invested, keep them going, let this market come back up. If you do need to start taking money from your investments, I'm going to have you consider what kind of investments you're actually using. I love to use a dividend portfolio. Now, here's my full disclaimer. Go talk to your advisors, go talk to your CPAs, talk to your trusted people before you just run out and go buy a bunch of dividend-paying stocks. I like a dividend portfolio because you actually own the stock, and you don't necessarily have to sell any of the shares in order to get your income. See, if you own mutual funds, if you own ETFs, stuff like that, stuff you're used to in a 401k or, whatever other retirement account that you may have, or quite frankly, most advisors out there, that's what they use, ETFs, you have to sell to get your money out. But if you own the stock outright, let's say you have 30 or 40 dividend-paying stocks, good quality companies, been around a long time, have that track record of paying their dividends through thick and thin. Let's say you build yourself a portfolio like that. Well, it's all based on the shares. The dividends are paid in based on how many shares you own. If you're not selling shares, those paychecks still come in no matter what the price of the shares are doing. It's based on the number of shares. So if you can just live on the dividends, well, you get paycheck and no matter what your account value is doing. See, most people right now, unfortunately, I'd say 99% of investors, retirees out there, they're using the old 4% rule where you have to go in and you have to sell portions of your portfolio to get your money out. I don't like that. I don't want you to have to sell because right now the market is still down 10, 12%. Well, if you're selling 2 or 3 or 4%, well, now you're down 15, 16, or 17. That's salt in the wound. You don't want to do that. So I'm going to have you talk to your advisors. You can always call me and talk to me if you want to, but talk to somebody about considering a dividend portfolio, see maybe if it's good for you. Because here's the deal. Those dividends grow every year. And you don't have to own any more shares. You're not putting money into this. Now you're retired. But your dividends, these companies, they want to keep you as an investor. So what do? They raise their dividend. They give you a paycheck raise. Sometimes these companies raise their dividends 5, 10, 15% a year. Well, if inflation's running 5, 6, 7, which it's running right now, high 8s even, you want to be able to keep up with those costs. So instead of relying on selling the portfolio, get you a good dividend portfolio that increases income each and every year, no matter what that market does. Okay, on to our health segment. I'm going to be talking about a kind of a follow-up to last week. If you heard the show, you heard me talk about the Whoop strap, WHOOP. Check them out, whoop.com. I don't get any money for that. I'm giving them some free press here, some free plugs. But I subscribed to this Whoop band, and basically what it is in a nutshell, it monitors and tracks your fitness performance. Not only fitness performance, though. You can track your diet, you can track your calories, you can track your sleep, which is really, really fascinating to me. So I've been really watching this thing over the last week. So I subscribed a week ago, and it's a subscription service. It's like $20 a month or something like that. And they send you this Whoop band. You wear it, 24/7. I kind of been taking mine off. Like when I get in my jacuzzi or I take a shower, or jump in the pool, I take it off. You don't have to take it off. For the first couple of days I didn't, but the band gets kind of wet and it stays wet for a little while. So I figure, my stats will just have to have a little 10-minute glitch, and it hasn't really affected it any way that I can tell. So anyway, it's been a week. The Whoop band, it kind of opened up some different data points and things. After 4 days, it calibrates to your body. And man, it's awesome. I'm really glad that I subscribed to this. If you've ever listened to my shows in the past, I'm a pretty big fitness buff. I do CrossFit. I also have another gym membership, and I try to work out every single day of the week. And it monitors that. It monitors if I'm over working out, and it tells me. It sends me an alert and says, "Hey, you're overdoing it. Take some rest." It also tells me when to go to sleep. I feel like it's like my mom or dad or something. Like it tells me, based on what you want to do and what time you want to get up in the morning, you need X amount of hours of sleep, like 9 hours of sleep to fully recover. You need to be in bed by 9 o'clock. I'm like, whoa, I'm used to going to bed at 10:30. I'm up at 6 a.m. No, it's telling me that's not enough. And so the data now that I have for a week of wearing this is actually showing that. I'm also going to say this. I like to have a beer every once in a while. Usually not during the week. Usually it's on the weekend or when I play golf with the boys or something like that. But I will say this. I have noticed that if I had a beer, 1 or 2 beers, and then go to sleep, at least the 2 or 3 times it's tracked it now have been my worst night's sleep. Very interesting. So yeah, maybe I have to do a couple of tests and then kind of bring you back some feedback with that. So the sleep thing is really cool to me. You can go in and you can customize what kind of workouts you do. If you walk, if you run, there's like 50 of them, and I think you can plug in more of them. I've got one where I'm just walking, like if I go just walk on the treadmill for 30 minutes or so, well then I track that. If I do high intensity workouts like CrossFit, there's a CrossFit kind of button in there that you can push, and it tracks that. And so it adds up all your calories, how many steps you've taken. It's wild. I really like it, and I'd highly endorse it for you to give it a try. You can go to whoop.com, sign up. Like I said, it's like they have a couple different packages. I think mine was like it ended up being like $20 a month, paid for like a year or two in advance or whatnot. But I'm really enjoying it, so go check it out. All right, so let us now transition into our wealth segment. So in the wealth segment today, guys, I want to talk about you considering converting portions of your IRAs to Roth IRAs. I'm going to give you a couple of points to consider here. So when I say conversion, though, I want to get some of the verbiage clear here, because in financial, in the financial world, words matter. So a conversion is totally different than a contribution. All right? Conversion means that you already own a retirement account. You've been putting money into it, like a 401k or an IRA, and you want to now move or convert a part of the account to a Roth IRA. You're going from something that has been tax deferred, the 401k or the IRA, to something that is now going to move forward being tax-free later in the future. So let me explain that. Sometimes I say that and people are like, well, yeah, I like tax-free. Let's move it all over. No. Okay, wait a minute. You got to remember, you're still going to pay the tax on that account that you've never paid taxes on. That 401k, maybe where they held out money from your paycheck and you didn't pay taxes on that. Or if you had an outside IRA on your own, you put money into it, you got a tax deduction for that. So all the growth in that account, all the dividends, all the interest, all that stuff has been tax deferred, meaning you're paying taxes later on it. And which the government likes because your account's so much bigger, so they're going to hit you on a bigger amount. That's why they like that. Well, the Roth IRA is the opposite. The Roth IRA, you put money into it that has already been taxed. Government's got their slice of your pie. But now, all the growth, all the dividends, all the interest, all that goodness inside of these accounts moving forward is going to be tax-free. So that's pretty cool. Here's why that's pretty cool. You can control your taxes way more than you can with an IRA. See, look, with an IRA, you remember what happens when you turn 72? That's right. The government forces you to take money out. It's called a required minimum distribution. At 72, whether or not you need the money, want the money, doesn't matter. The government says, boom, you're taking out X amount of dollars based on the end of the year last year's, what your account ended up with. Here's how much you have to take out. You're welcome. And that amount goes right onto your tax return, and you pay taxes on it based on what bracket you're in. Forced taxation. With a Roth IRA, you can say bye-bye to required distributions. They don't have any required distributions. The government don't care. You already paid it. Your money is your money. So if you feel like, so here's a couple of points to consider if you should maybe look at this. Number one, when do you need to access the money? I think that's one of the most important questions to ask yourself. See, a lot of people, they get to retirement. They've got these great size accounts, and they're like, yeah, but we got everything paid off. We got our Social Security coming in. Maybe we got like a rental or something like that. We got another source of income coming in. They're like, we have all of our bills paid. We have money left over. We don't need to take money out of this thing. We don't even see ourselves taking money out of this thing for 10 years or more. That's a good sign that maybe converting some of your IRA to a Roth is a good idea. Number two, what is the long-term purpose of the money? Some people are like, if we ever even spend $1 of this, we'll worry about it then, but we kind of just want to leave this to the family. Well, would you rather leave a taxable account to the family or a tax-free account to the family? Tax-free all day long, baby. That's what you got to leave behind. If you want to leave it to the kids, you want to leave it to the grandkids, what a special way to leave a legacy that's tax-free. So what is the long-term purpose of your money? Number three, point to consider. If you're going to do this, you want to pay the taxes with outside money. What I mean by that is you don't want to pay taxes from your retirement account. If you roll out money from an IRA, say you roll out $10,000 into the Roth, well, now you owe taxes on the $10,000. Let's say it's $2,000. You don't want to take another $2,000 out of the IRA to pay it because then you owe taxes on the $2,000. You want to pay the $2,000 taxes with savings account money or money that you got left over in your bank. You've already paid taxes on it. You don't have to worry about that. You want the full amount that you pull over into the Roth, you want to let that thing grow. So use outside funds to pay for it. Now, here's my deal. Here's my disclaimer with this one. You always want to consult your tax person. Whether you're using a tax prep, an EA, a CPA, your next door, your best friend, whoever, you want to sit down with them and go, hey, I want to consider looking at, Roth conversions. What's that going to do to my taxes? Is there any wiggle room in my current bracket? How much wiggle room? Okay, if we converted that much so we don't bump ourselves into another bracket, what's the tax on it? Okay, we got that money sitting in the account. Let's do it. That's how you do this. It's called a strategic rollover. You don't want to just get all excited about tax-free and be like, I'm going to take my $500,000 IRA and do it all at once. Take a step back, take a breath. You don't want to do that because you're going to have a nasty, nasty tax bill come next April. All at once, that goes onto your tax return. You want to use strategy. You want to do it a little bit at a time. Each year you look at this. For our clients, we do this every single year. We talk to their tax person, how much wiggle room we got. This is the expected amount of income. We usually do this around October, November. We kind of have a really good idea what that tax return is going to look like. And we say, how much can we roll over? Okay? Or I'm sorry, how much can we convert? Okay, cool. You got the money in savings? Check. All right, let's do it. Boom, you do it. Now all that money moving forward is tax-free. You can even do this, like over 10 years. If you're 62 years old right now, you're going, I don't need to touch this money, like ever. Well, you got 10 years till you have to start taking money out. Do a 10-year strategic conversion. Well, Patrick, how much am I allowed to convert? As much as you want. Just don't get crazy and bump yourself into another bracket. But I thought I was restricted in how much I can put into a Roth. That's contributions, not conversions. Well, what about my income? I'm a high earner. How much? I can only put so. Nope, that's contributions, not conversions. If you got questions on this, talk to your advisor, call me, set up a phone call, talk to Patrick.com, talk to your tax person, put your team together before you just go out and do it, and know ahead of time what you can expect. All right, so that's the wealth segment. Coming up right now next, I'm going to be talking about my freedom segment. And in the freedom segment today, I'm going to be talking about the 12 best senior dating websites to find love in 2022. Ooh la la. Senior dating websites. This caught my eye, and this was in U.S. News, written by Rachel Hartman. August 19th, 2022. That's when this came out. So you can Google it, 12 best senior dating websites to find love in 2022. And it's a real good article. It takes all 12, and it talks about each and every one of them. I'm going to pick out 2 or 3 and kind of chat about them a little bit. And the reason this kind of caught my eye is because maybe many of you know, about 5 years ago, my mother passed away very unexpectedly. She had a stroke, and one day was here, one day was gone. It's brutal. And so about 3 years later, my dad, we kind of been talking to him like, yeah, one of these days you're probably going to want to date again. It's totally fine. We had those talks, and it was totally fine whenever he was ready. And then all of a sudden, he's like, hey, I kind of went out to dinner with so-and-so. And I'm like, well, how'd you meet her? And where does she live? And it was like, oh, she lives like an hour from you. How did you meet her? Well, lo and behold, the little rascal, he jumped on some of these dating websites, created himself usernames and logins and the whole deal, and had been talking it up with some ladies. And I was kind of like, well, that's awesome, but wait a minute, you are not really the computer kind of guy. So it was kind of funny, had a good going back and forth. We still kind of goof about it. But actually, this is what the future looks like. I'm old enough. I've been married for 22 years now. I'm old enough. We didn't really have any of this stuff. I guess 1 or 2 of these they launched like before I got married, but I just never even knew about them. So anyway, but it's a thing now. Most people. I don't have the poll in front of me, but I'm sure if you asked, you probably know at least a handful of people who have met somebody online. So this was a pretty cool article, and it says, regardless of where you live, you can connect online to find relationships with other seniors. The most important thing for any potential online dater is to know what your goals are before choosing an online dating website. I think that's kind of a funny line. Like, know what your goals are. The goal is to get a date. Anyway, that's just me. So anyway, there's 12 of these things, and I'm going to list them off real quick and talk about a few of them. The 12 best websites and apps for seniors are Match, eHarmony, Senior Friends Date, So Synced, that's interesting, Silver Singles, Singles 50, Elite Singles, Zoosk, what that's about, Z-O-O-S-K, Z-O-O-S-K. I'm going to look that word up, I wonder what that means. Christian Mingle, mature dating, our time, and senior match. So those are all the ones that they listed as the 12 best. The three I've heard of, Match, eHarmony, and Christian Mingle. Pretty much those three, those are the ones my dad used. So Match was first launched in 1995 and is one of the pioneers in the online dating industries. And it has a presence in 24 countries, hosts sites in 15 different languages. The sheer number of Match memberships may help create more opportunities for dating. While Match is available for all adults, you can enter your age preference along with other details. You get a list of people with whom you might want to start a relationship. You'll also receive notifications about events in your area where you might be able to meet other people. The site is free, but to access additional features, you need to subscribe, which starts at $15.99 a month. Match is available on Google Play and App Store as well. So that's kind of interesting. That's kind of cool. Match.com. eHarmony launched in 2000, and this site has options specifically for those over age 50 who are looking to date. You can register for free by entering some personal data and uploading a picture. A compatibility matching system helps narrow the field to match you with a select group who might be right for you. If you like additional features such as direct messaging, you can take out a subscription, which ranges from $35.90 to $65.90 a month. You can find eHarmony on Google Play and the App Store as well. And then Christian Mingle. This site focuses on helping members to meet potential partners who share the same religious faith. I think that's pretty cool. After registering, you will be able to connect with over 15 million Christian singles. There's a lot of singles out there. You can create a free profile. Premium plans start at $19.99 a month. An app is available at Google Play and the App Store. Parent company Spark Networks also has dating websites for other religious groups, including JDate, JSwipe, LDS singles, and Adventist singles. So pretty cool. So Match, eHarmony, Christian Mingle. There's a bunch of them out there, guys. And I would say this to all you singles out there. Hey, maybe it's the right time to start dating again. And don't be afraid to go online. I mean, you can keep doing the same things, You can, find somebody at your church or at one end of the spectrum, at the local bar, at the other end of the spectrum, maybe on the golf course, maybe on the pickleball court, maybe at the gym. You can go to all the same places in your small area, or you can kind of branch out a little bit, and then maybe schedule a phone call, and then maybe that leads to a lunch, and who knows? So I think it's pretty cool. Glad that my dad's doing it. And so anyway, I thought that was a really cool article, and you can check that out again. It's called 12 Best Senior Dating Websites to Find Love in 2022. All right, I want to just run through a few action items. I always want to give you some action items to implement from every show that you can implement right away. First and foremost, I want you to review or create a budget, or go download mine for free and fill in the blanks. Go to RLAplan.com RLAplan.com/budget. Sorry, I got a little mixed up there. RLAplan.com/budget, and fill in those blanks and check that guy. Every month, every quarter, every 6 months. Just stick with it. Set yourself an alarm to do it, and that's going to help with inflation. Everybody's worried about inflation. Everybody's worried about what they need to do, and one of the easiest things to do is check on how much you're spending, and then maybe make some adjustments. Number 2, consider a Roth conversion. So if you got an IRA, if you got a 401k at work, go ask your HR department. Maybe you've got a 401k Roth option. So you can look at either doing some conversions, or you can stop putting money in the 401k and start putting money into the Roth 401k for later on. Talk to somebody, definitely talk to an advisor or a tax person, and figure out to see if it makes sense for you. And then number 3, if you're single, like I said before, maybe it's the right time to start dating again. Don't be afraid to go online. Check it out. Maybe it's not for you, maybe it is for you. But you know what? My dad did it. He was never the computer guy, so it blew me away when I learned that he was going on some of these sites and meeting some really nice people. So he did it. I know you can do it too. And maybe, who knows, maybe you'll find the next love of your life. Guys, that's it for the show today. I want to thank you again for listening to Retirement Lifestyles, the podcast. Again, my name is Patrick McNally, and if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. Schedule a phone call at talktopatrick.com, and I wish you the best in retirement. If you got something good out of the show, make sure you rate it, give me a thumbs up, and hit subscribe so you never miss out. Also, share it with your friends. Be sure to find me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. One more thing before you go. Remember that the information I talk about on this podcast is believed to be factual and up to date, but do not consider it as personalized investment advice and cannot be interpreted as an offer to buy or sell any securities mentioned. You need to visit with a professional advisor, tax, or legal counselor before implementing any of the strategies presented. My firm, Retirement Lifestyles Advisory Group, is registered as an investment advisor, and we only transact business in the states where we're properly registered to do so.